I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Ah, Bruce Campbell, the man, the myth, the legend. To describe Campbell's appeal as a legend of pop culture is like trying to describe the texture of a warm breeze on a summer's day. It just can't be done. The man has been a legend in the cinema for over 40 years, after his big break starring as Ash Williams in 1981's cult classic horror movie, The Evil Dead, directed by his childhood friend and future Spider-Man director, Sam Raimi. Here's a word of advice if you're a filmmaker and you have a weird role or a subpar film. Cast Bruce Campbell. He can't exactly save your film, but he will give you a great performance and draw in an audience of the loyal fans that he has built for over 4 decades. I mean, who else could make a movie about an 80-year-old Elvis Presley that fights an Egyptian mummy work? Now, we could talk about Bruce's various film roles, both mainstream and independent, but instead we'll be focusing on his work for the small screen. Campbell was introduced to a whole new generation of fans for 2 roles he played on hit TV shows, Autolycus on Hercules and Xena, and more recently as Sam Axe on Burn Notice. As for his revival of the role of Ash Williams on Ash vs. Evil Dead, don't worry, we'll get there one day. But today, we're focusing on his first major TV role, as Brisco County Jr. in The Adventures of Brisco County Jr. for this episode of Gone, But Not Forgotten. The Adventures of Brisco County Jr. aired on the Fox network from 1993 to 1994. One glorious season of Bruce Campbell at his peak. He cracked jokes, he kissed ladies, and he did amazing stunts. The show was technically a Western comedy, but involved a lot of different kinds of elements, like science fiction and steampunk. Kind of like the classic 60s TV show, The Wild Wild West. Except unlike the Wild Wild West movie adaptation, it did not suck all light and joy out of your soul, or have...
And then all of a sudden, like a giant fucking spider shows up.
A giant fucking mechanical spider! And it's no wonder why this show was so good and ahead of its time, as it was created by the same writers behind the script for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, legendary screenwriter Jeffrey Boehm, and future Lost writer and executive producer Carlton Cuse, who were hired by Fox to produce a series that, much like Indiana Jones, would resemble the old film serials of the 30s and 40s. And their result was a quirky western featuring a confident, even-tempered, and badass hero. So in other words, Bruce Campbell, who unbelievably had to audition 5 times to get this role, and every single time had to do his infamous standing flip from Evil Dead 2. Bruce finally got the role after he swore to the network execs that he would work hard to make the show as best as it could be. And in my opinion, he sure did. Which you could tell right away from the 2-hour TV movie that served as the series' pilot episode and would set up the entire series. The pilot episode involves the famous U.S. Marshal, as played by the cinema's scariest drill sergeant, R. Lee Ermey from Full Metal Jacket, after he's murdered by the outlaw John Bly and his 12-member gang. Now, how did he get killed? Well, I'm glad you didn't ask, as John Bly's gang stops a train which carries their imprisoned leader by painting a giant rock as part of the road. Now wait, before I lose you, I assure you I'm not joking here. The bad guys stop a train by using a tactic from a Bugs Bunny cartoon. The show had a lot of this type of experimentation of mixing comedy and drama, and it's quite jarring to see these cartoonish antics followed up by Brisco County Sr. getting shot to death by a group of men surrounded in smoke. Meanwhile, we find that a chain gang of Chinese immigrants has come across a golden orb that, when they touch it, gives them super strength, which they use to escape. And after the government learns of this, they transport the orb to Washington for further study. But in the meantime, someone is needed to round up John Bly and his gang, as they are making life very difficult for the 5 largest robber barons from the West. Enter Brisco County Jr., who is hired by uptight attorney Socrates Poole on the Baron's behalf. Socrates would end up being Brisco's confidant, as well as one of his best friends. And while he's a bit of a wuss and naive when it comes to frontier stuff, you can tell he has a big heart and is always there when he's needed, even if he does get Brisco into trouble sometimes. This role was played by the wonderfully talented Christian Clemenson, who went on to be on another quirky TV drama, Boston Legal, and did an incredible job in the FX limited series The People vs. O.J. Simpson, playing real-life prosecutor William Hodgman. But back to Brisco County Jr., who, while preparing for his trip, is confronted by his rival, a bounty hunter named Lord Bowler. While Bowler started out as a rival to Brisco, they would over time become friends, and he wound up being his loyal companion.
If anything, he's my companion.
Okay, Jesus. His partner. Bowler happens to be the best tracker in the West, even though he's grumpy and almost always short-tempered. However, he could surprise you at times, like when we find out Bowler lives at a Hugh Hefner-style mansion, or when we get to meet the love of his life, or in my favorite moment, when Bowler sings to a dying Brisco. Bowler was played by the wonderful Julius Carey, who had actually studied black cowboys in college, such as Bass Reeves, the man who would become the inspiration for the Lone Ranger. And Carey would sadly die way too soon at the age of 56 in 2008 of pancreatic cancer. But back to the pilot episode, where we are now shown the lair where Bly and his gang are gathering to form their evil plan to find the orb. And it's worth noting here that the role of John Bly was played by the legendary actor Billy Drago, who we sadly lost last year at the age of 73. Drago's specialty was playing villains, and here you can see why. His eyes look like a wild animal that's about to pounce. He always moved his hands around like he was conducting an orchestra, and his portrayal of John Bly was that of a euphoric and almost cult-like gang leader. So when John Bly finds out that Brisco has been put in charge of bringing the gang to justice, he comes up with a brilliant plan.
Use the Scarred Foot Clan.
Wait. The Foot Clan? Oh, this sounds awesome!
We are the Scarred Foot Clan.
Oh, okay then. So the leader of the Scarred Foot Clan comes to befriend Brisco and tells him all about the Mystical Orb.
4 workers recently fled from one of Big Smith's chain gangs. While blasting for a tunnel, they discovered something strange, something mysterious, a metallic orb. They said when they touched this orb, they felt an energy, a mystical power, a sense of a greater force.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
No!
The Force?
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
That's better. It turns out that one of Bly's henchmen, named Big Smith, has been tasked to rob a train that's carrying both a shipment of gold and the orb. So in order to infiltrate the Bly gang, Brisco befriends Big Smith's girlfriend, Dixie Cousins, who was, Whew! Sorry, got distracted there. So, yeah, Dixie Cousins. Okay, I'm back. Now, on their way to meet Big Smith, Dixie and Brisco encounter some wagon trouble.
Pickle.
Let this be a valuable lesson to you, cowpokes. Don't drink and ride. So after he avoids death, Brisco winds up passing himself off as an evil gunslinger named Kansas Wally Stafford. And this is where I would like to introduce my favorite recurring villain of the show, simply named Pete. What I love about Pete is that he always tries so hard to be smart and cool, but, well, judge for yourself how well he pulls that off.
Oh, she'll be coming round that old mountain. Oh, when she comes, she'll be coming round that old mountain. Oh, when she comes.
Shut up, Pete!
You're touching my piece, Kansas.
The man apologized. Forget about it.
Forget about it? You mean rip it from my memory like a picture from a book? Picture of a small boy, kind of shy, with big ears who only wanted to be liked. And the laughing faces of his classmates mocking him because he forgot to wear his pants to school. Is that what you mean?
You lost me, Pete.
Now, Pete was originally supposed to die in the pilot, but they liked John Piper Ferguson's performance so much that he magically survived and showed back up on the show from time to time. And now that Brisco has had his way with Pete, he heads off to Pump Dixie for information on the train heist. But, holy mother of God! Whew! Okay, I think that it's about time to talk about Dixie and Brisco. The show's creative team tried many times to bring in a recurring love interest for Brisco, but no matter how many women Brisco got involved with, no one could recreate the chemistry between Bruce Campbell and Kelly Rutherford. Much like Pete, Dixie was originally supposed to be a one-off character, but she and Brisco had such great banter with each other that the show would find any excuse to put these two back together. Another recurring character on the show was Professor Wickwire, who was played by the OG Gomez Adams himself, John Aston. Over the course of the show, Professor Wickwire becomes kind of like Brisco's Q, a quirky, bumbling genius who creates such ahead-of-their-time gadgets as a rocket, an atmospheric diving suit, just to name a few. So the show's debut episode winds up setting the course for the rest of the series quite well, as capturing John Bly and learning the secret of the orb would serve as the main subplots of the series. We come to learn that this orb has unspecific powers. You can gain super strength, be healed from death, speak to the dead, travel through time, but we never get a specific answer as to what it does per se. What we do know is that the moral character of the person who touches the orb is directly related to the type of powers they receive from it. And Brisco's corrupt boss found this out the hard way when he touched the orb to gain powers for the pursuit of evil.
You chose poorly.
Both the action and comedy help Brisco County Jr. stand out from other adventure shows of the time, and westerns in particular happen to be a dream job for Hollywood stuntmen, since they have so many opportunities for them to risk their own lives. And believe me, the action on this show involved plenty of life risking. Plus, the show was rife with clever sight gags.
Want a ride?
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
These drinks are wonderful, Your Excellency.
You like them?
Very much.
We import the limes from the Yucatan. They're squeezed on the thighs of virgins here in the villa. And then the lime juice is blended with golden tequila.
Delicious.
Margarita! 3 more of your special cocktail.
And my personal favorite joke also happened to be a favorite for actor Julius Carey.
You want jelly filled, powdered, or custard?
Custard.
Custard? Yep.
Thanks. Well, you better get before somebody misses you.
Okay. See ya, Deputy Lord Bowler.
Thanks for the donut, Duncan.
You're welcome.
There were also a lot of goofy moments as well that had a mixed reaction from the show's small but loyal audience. Some of them worked, like when they met an ancestor of Elvis Presley.
Excuse me, it was a late night last night. Warden threw a party in the county jail. Prison band was there. They began.
Are you the sheriff?
That's right.
While others, like the episode where Brisco fought land pirates, just didn't click so well. Still, you were always guaranteed something fun whenever you tuned in to Brisco County Jr. And Fox seemed pretty confident about this show at first, as it was pretty unheard of to have a show kick off with a 2-hour pilot episode. But the ratings for the pilot were fairly solid, and the network even reran the pilot movie a few more times afterwards. So you're probably wondering, what happened to this show? Well, you're going to see this with a lot of shows that we cover on this series that originally air on Fox, as the network has a habit of picking up shows and then just throwing them out without any support, hoping they won't drown. So when Fox cancels an acclaimed TV show, it's usually one of 2 answers. It was either too expensive to make, or it didn't get enough ratings. And sometimes both. But really, Brisco just fell victim to a mistake that Fox is incapable of avoiding by airing their great shows during the so-called death slot. You see, shows that air on Sundays to Thursdays have a better chance of getting good ratings, as people are more likely to watch more TV since they have less of a chance to go out because of work. The death slots are Fridays and Saturdays, where shows very rarely survive because people are going out for the weekend. And that leaves only losers like me, who have friends who are always too busy to help organize your Blu-ray collection or show up for your Lost-themed party. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Angel. Oh, Angel thinks he's so cool because he has a book signing, or because he just got invited to see an early screening of the latest Marvel or DC blockbuster. Well, I'm cool too, Angel. I'm spending my Friday night alphabetizing my Blu-ray collection, writing a letter to ABC demanding that they bring back Emergence, or posting on the Lost subreddit my theory that Locke's father was really the smoke monster when Sawyer confronted him. Oh my God, what have I done with my life? My point is, death slot shows don't get promoted a lot, which makes no sense since you should want people to stay home and watch your show, right? Do they honestly think word of mouth alone will help a show survive? Well, Brisco didn't, but the show that came on after Brisco did survive for several more seasons. A little show called The X-Files. Yes, like twins in a womb where only one child can survive, Brisco County Jr. was eaten up by The X-Files. Which is fine, I suppose, since X-Files was a worldwide phenomenon that introduced a wide audience to the world of sci-fi. I only wish that both of them could have gone on for more seasons. But I guess it's true what they say.
There can be only one.
Thankfully, Brisco County Jr. still lived on in the world of ahead-of-their-time shows. In fact, some props from the set of Brisco County actually went on to be used for another cult show that aired on Fox and deserved to go on for a second season called Firefly. And did you know that the train used in the pilot was also the same train used in Back to the Future 3? God, did this show deserve better! Hell, do I even need to say why this show needs to come back? Bruce Campbell on a horse. Need I say more? I could totally see how this show could be brought back on the air, now with an older Brisco with more experience, and maybe less optimism than he had in the first season. They could also have Dixie come back, and Lord knows we all need some more Pete in our lives. Sadly, we could never have Bowler or Bly return, but we could introduce some new characters. Maybe a new protege played by a younger, lesser-known actor, such as the criminally underused Enver Jokai of Dollhouse fame. You could either have some new comedic villains, perhaps bring in the always funny Jason Mantzoukas, or even some more serious villains. I mean, is John Noble doing anything these days? But hey, if the show can't come back, at least we still have all 27 of its amazing episodes on DVD. And it's currently free to stream on IMDb TV. Did you know that was a thing? I didn't. So hop on and ride along with Brisco County Jr. You will not regret it. And now let us end this episode with the late Julius Carey giving us the pleasure of singing us out.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but